Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first ever podcast of the AAT's podcast. Yay! So that's kind of like a bit like Fonzie from Happy Days when he did that. Hey, classic show, I must say. So
we need to watch that.
Oh yes, of course. So I'm, as you all know or don't know, I'm Addy from Adibiotics. This is my dear good friend, brother from another mother, Mr. Aidan Riley. All right. So
where did that come from?
I think there's a fan back there already. So this is a new podcast that we have created for basically entertainment talks. We're going to be talking about great stuff that we grew up looking at back in the 80s, through the 90s, and this decade as well, from movies, clothes, even the hairstyles as well. They were next level back in the 80s, wasn't it?
The mustache.
Oh yeah, and the big hair, the mustaches.
Afro and the mustache, like the guy from Coming to America. You know. My dad had the same hair.
Yeah, that was a classic movie. That was. Go on, let's hear a line from that movie. Go on.
What, Coming to America?
Yeah, go on. This we have to see.
Oh, it's been a while, man.
This
you do it.
No. We'll do one each.
I can't remember any.
Just say one each.
I can't remember. Give me one. Whisper it into my ear.
I am Prince Hakeem.
I am Prince Hakeem.
Okay, I've got one as well. I have a date with Lisa. Isn't that wonderful? Okay, that's the closest we can do. So
it's been years since I've watched that film.
It's a classic.
We need to watch that film. On a reaction.
We definitely have to, bro. We definitely have to. So, as we were mentioning, this is a podcast we're going to be talking about fun times. As you've known from the Biotic podcast, that's about the serious talks and topics about, how to protect your plans, etc., how to never give up on yourself, etc. Whereas this time around, we're going to be having a good time along the way. Not that we don't have a good time on that channel, but this time around, we're going to be talking about, for making things fun for everybody out there, which is a must at the end of the day, because regardless of everyday life, you got to learn to just turn off the brain from, you got to get this done, that done, and then basically just look after yourself and have some alone time as well. Watch a great movie, reflect on it, talk about it as well. And basically that's what we will be doing on our podcast, right, Mr. Riley?
Yes, indeed.
So today's podcast, we're going to start off with the origins, like the kind of movies we liked growing up, and comparing them to this decade as well. So Aidan, I would like you to go first.
Okay. Well, as you know, I'm quite plain.
Quite plain.
I think what I can remember growing up is I used to enjoy watching Transformers. I know that's an animation, but I had it on VHS.
Oh yeah.
Is that Transformers?
Robots in disguise.
Gotta love that show, man.
Yeah.
What else? Oh my God!
It's too much to go through.
I'm actually struggling.
It's too much of a decade for him to go through.
Well, like I said, we'll be going back and watching these films anyway on certain days and doing reactions.
And now that you mentioned it, as we said, going back in time and reliving these movies, these moments. And if you notice, quite a few movies back in the 80s depended on time travel. There was Back to the Future trilogy.
Yes,
classic.
That's one.
That was classic. I don't care what anyone, especially the original, absolute classic movie. There was also the Terminator, especially the first Terminator.
I can't believe I forgot that.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Forgive me.
You're forgiven, brother.
So sorry.
You're forgiven, brother. And so basically, there's the Terminator. Time Cop was actually early 90s, but still an absolute classic movie. There was the Time Bandits.
It's not just about the 80s.
Yeah, there was Time Bandits, and so all these movies that you see like in time travel, it's actually quite interesting because it makes people want to wonder, does that actually exist out there? Does it? Will it? I think all good things we'll know over time.
Needs to talk about this.
Yeah, we'll get Tyler on there as well.
He's our producer. He loves physics.
He's our science. He's Tal's everything.
He loves
musician. He's musician, he's producer, he's artist, he's director, he's singer, he's writer, he's painter. The list goes on. I asked Tal once, is there anything on earth you have not learned, bro? He's like a walking encyclopedia, a talopedia. Call him that instead. A talopedia. That's a all right. So right, so a little bit more about the kind of stuff you loved growing up with, please, Mr. Riley.
Well, you just mentioned them.
Yes.
Dude, I suck today. I really, really suck today.
That's all right.
I'm struggling.
We'll give him a chance. He'll come back again soon.
My
So
brain's just, it will come back to me. My brain has just gone wonderbout at the moment.
that's all right.
It happens.
Okay, so growing up in the 80s and 90s, movies I grew up watching had to be, it was just filled with big guys. And by big guys, I do mean guys who were just like immensely strong, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Dolph Lundgren,
Rocky.
Yes, of course. See, that's come back to him now as well. There was also Van Damme. Jean-Claude Van Damme, Muscles from Brussels. Absolute legend, definitely.
Bruce Lee.
Yes, Chuck Norris, Jackie Chan. So basically any guy,
In the Bronx.
Oh, yes, that was definitely a good one. And also, if you remember the He-Man animated TV series,
I do, yes.
that was an absolute best cartoon ever. Best cartoon ever, without a doubt.
Guys in short skirts.
He said that, not me. And so basically, it's just all that stuff that we like to go back, all that nostalgia era, which is kind of fun sometimes when you go back and relive it, and then it's like you compare that to today's day and age, where you look at, oh, we didn't have this back in that day, and then this has come through now as well. You say every certain things, like for example, mobile phones, we didn't have them back in the day. No, we didn't.
My first mobile phone was a BT Cellnet, and I was 10 years old. I still remember it now. It seemed small at the time.
Yeah.
But I checked it out not long ago.
Yeah.
And it was about this big.
Brick.
It was huge. I was scared to pick it up because I thought if I pick this up, my arm's gonna fall off. It was ridiculous. I thought, wow, that's my first mobile phone. If that's the size of it now, how big was it when I was carrying it around as a child?
Exactly. I think everybody at one point grew up having, quote, the brick phone.
Yes.
Because you couldn't get the old, then the little smaller phones came out, and then the flip phones came out as well.
Yeah, flip phones,
Yeah, exactly. And same thing, like, you know, with the movies, if you remember the special effects back then, they looked really, really practical. And the effects back in them days were absolutely amazing for its time. Obviously now you have everything in CGI, you have HD, you have 4K, etc.
Yeah.
But back in them days, they were just absolutely epic. Like, for example, one movie I used to enjoy watching was the live action of He-Man, Masters of the Universe.
I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen it?
No.
Okay, so for those who haven't seen it, I'll tell. It's actually Dolph Lundgren who played He-Man. That
I'm
was
not surprised.
Yeah, exactly. No, because that was actually the first movie he made after he filmed Rocky 4. It was because of Rocky 4 he got that role, because they just looked at him. They're like, we need a guy.
There's He-Man.
Yeah, they just looked at him and said, grow long
Give him a
hair.
skirt.
Exactly, grow long hair, and then there you go. We've got a He-Man, and he had to go even bigger in that movie than he had to be in for. Well, he was a massive guy, wasn't he, back then? Obviously, he's more built like an athlete nowadays, because obviously there you go. There's that change again, isn't it? Back then, nowadays.
Yes, exactly.
Because it's like nowadays the action stars we see, most of them are superheroes, and there's only a handful of them who've actually managed to kind of develop that old 80s style physique back on them. It's like, for example,
There was more bulk in the 80s.
Yes, it was. No, but if you look at one thing I loved about the 80s definitely was the rivalry between Stallone and Schwarzenegger. That was just absolutely epic. We're gonna have to do a whole podcast on that one era, Stallone versus Schwarzenegger. Were you a Sly fan or an Arnie fan, or was you just both? Both of them had their qualities in every way. It was like, so who's you the bigger fan of?
I love Terminator, mate. I love Terminator. I remember watching that a lot when I was a kid, so I was more of a Sly person. I was more of a Sly guy. Sly guy.
I think I was as well, because it's like you had Rambo, then you had Commando.
Arnie.
Arnie.
Terminated, wasn't yeah.
It's one of those days.
It's one of those, yes. It is.
Yeah, but that's a good thing, and it's like, you know, taking a little trip down memory lane, enjoying the podcast and everything. So please click subscribe, get notified, because we are going to be dropping some podcasts quite often, and it's basically going to be movie talk. But if you have any questions you want to drop to us, you can drop us them on DM on the original Antibiotics Instagram page. You can also drop Aidan a message on his Instagram. I'll put a link in the description below, and you can just follow us and give us a shout, and we'll give you a shout out on the channels as well. That's the promise.
And obviously, as the podcast grows, we're going to be bringing out more segments as well.
Oh, definitely. So yeah, look after yourselves, and stay safe, stay blessed, and we'll keep in touch, and let's have a great time, right, Aidan?
Yes, we'll have a great time.
Yes, have a great time. So we'll see you on the next podcast, everybody. AAT's rocked. We'll do that again together on a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. AAT's rocked.